pray, kneeling low, hear what we say. Freedom calls in every tone. Faith is built on hearts of stone. Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never ashamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to ARP in the morning. I am your host, Wise, man, and I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Hope all is well with you guys. Happy Thursday. Happy Friday Eve. We have a pretty good show for you today. Got a pretty good show for you today. It will not go as long as it did yesterday. Good Lord. Almost 3 hours yesterday. I couldn't believe it. Almost a 3-hour show yesterday. We will not have a 3-hour show today. We definitely will not go that long, but it was a good show. It was. Really good show. Shout out to the guest that pulled up yesterday. I thought that was awesome. Yolanda added a lot of good context. As Crystal as well. Shout out to my guy, Playboy Billy. Shout out to him. He knows who I'm talking about. For those of you guys, and I'm sure those of you guys that watch this, y'all know who Playboy Billy is. Shout out to him. Excellent job. We're gonna have to get it. We got to get. You know what? I went back and I was listening to it yesterday. Not the entire show because I just didn't have 3 hours to spend watching that entire show yesterday. But just the piece with the guest. We gotta get Playboy Billy on, at least once a week to just tell us what's on his mind and what he's upset and what he's heard. We're gonna have to figure that out. So Playboy Billy, I think you are here. I did see you in the chat earlier before we got the show started. Hit me up via email, admin_wise@proton.me. We got to figure that out. I got to be able to game plan, and we'll get you on for about a 10 or 15 minute segment, man. What's on Playboy Billy's mind? What are you thinking? What have you heard? What's going on out here in these streets? I can't cover everything, but I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed everybody that pulled up yesterday. Appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. Shout out to the Blue Zephyr K9 in the building. First things first, see y'all in a bit. Smash that like button. Yes, please make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Shout out to ZFRK9, man. Shout out to her. Appreciate you pulling up this morning and keeping things civil in the chat. What's going on, Lori Otteson? How you doing this morning? Hope all is well with you. What up, Redefined Queen? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Scott Jung? How's it going this morning, brother? Hope all is well. What's going on, Buddha? How's it going this morning? How you doing this morning? What's up, Marie Noose? How's it going this morning? GA in the building. We got New Yorkers in the house. We got Tennesseans in the house. Shout out to you all. What up, Big Job Ford? We got Wisconsin in the house. What up, Playboy Billy? What's going on with you, brother? Good morning to you. What up, Joseph Orsini? How's it going? Kevin Caldwell, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Good morning to you as well. What up, Cool Ramon? How's it going this morning, brother? Hope all is well. Insanity's darling, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Richmond, Virginia, yes. Y'all make sure y'all follow her instructions. Hit that daggone like button for me if you haven't done so already. Shout out to LJ Taylor. She got the new grill. I'm waiting on my invite to the cookout. Shout out to you. What's up, Quincy James? How's it going this morning? We got Jeanette in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning as well. Hope all is well with you all. What's up, Delinda House? How's it going this morning? What's going on? And Quincy James said he hit that gym this morning. Hey, it's hands down the best way to get your day started. I start my day with prayer and we get into the gym. You can't start your day much better than that. Prayer and get into the gym and get that sweat on. And then before you know, I mean, you do that, man, I got my energy levels are through the roof. And I'm up, 4:20 in the morning on average, between 4:20, 4:30. That's what time I get up every morning. And, obviously I go get I get my prayer on, I get my gym on, and then I come back here to get ready for this. And there's a couple of other things that I do during the middle of the day, but I don't take naps. I do not take a nap during the day, but I do make sure I go to bed at a proper time to get some good rest so I can wake up, do it all over again. And every day that the good Lord wakes us up, we immediately start off with a win. My guy Dale says that we start off with a win immediately. And, when the good Lord, allows you to open those eyes again, when that happens, hey, we get that prayer and we thank him, for that. And then we go hit the gym. And then we off to the races. So that's a great way to get the day started, man. Shout out to you. Oh, yeah. What's going on, Donald Lovejoy? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hope all is well. Who else we got up in here this morning? We'll make sure I don't miss anybody before we get things cranked up this morning. What up, Marla? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hope all is well. What's up, Louise McNeil? Appreciate you pulling up to this morning. Peace and blessings to you, my Baltimore sister. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hope all is well with you. I don't think I've seen you in a little bit. It's been a little bit, but I'm glad to have you here today. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, RJ Hudson? South Carolina in the building. Shout out to you. Shout out to Toy Mafia. What's going on? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Nick M? We got Dally. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Krista Knight. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Eric Smith? How's it going this morning, brother? Hope all is well with you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Who else we got up in here? What up, Baby Lungs? How's it going this morning? Minnesota in the building. What up, Lonnie King? How's it going this morning, brother? What's going on, Billy W? Marie. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Maria. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. I can't read this morning. What's going on with you? Appreciate you pulling up. Wisconsin in the building. What up, PK Krillin? How's it going this morning? H-Town in the house. Shout out to you, Nick M. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Who else we got up in here today? What up, Junior Ray? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Says, morning, brother. Love your show. Call me Wolfheart. Everyone else does. Okay. Hey, you gotta put that up in there, man, so we can, I'm not gonna be able to remember that. Maybe I would. Maybe. What up, Elijah Burnett? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's up, Miss Largie? Mr. Largie, sorry about that. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Queens, New York in the house. What up, Faithful? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Cool Ramon says 3 hours was cool. 3 hours is a long time to be on a live stream, man. It really is. It's a long time. What up, Karen? Haley, how's it going this morning? Amber Young, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Mike C, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Salute to you as well. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, America MAGA girl? Appreciate you pulling up. North Carolina in the building. What up, Coaster? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Dr. Mama in the house. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Appreciate that. Who else we got up in here? We got Barry Hamill. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Sturgis, Mississippi in the building. What up, Deborah Porter? We got another Queens, New Yorker in the house. Shout out. Got a lot of New Yorkers up in here. All right. That's what's up. What up, Mark? How's it going this morning, brother? Nashville's finest in the building. Just me. We got a Canadian in the house. Shout out to you. All right. We got somebody from Oregon. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. James Jim Spires. We got Texas in the house. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Pam Westcott, what's going on with you? Hope all is well. Yes, cool, Ramon. ARP is wise. Yeah. A righteous perspective. That's the channel. Wise is me. Wisdom. What up, CTM? 1990. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Chad, falling in formation this morning. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, man. Louis said you're up military time. Hey, when it's in you, it's in you. You know, that's one of those things that you know, it's just hard to, you know, to break. But I like getting my day started off like that, you know, and I like getting up early. When I was way back when, you know, even after I got out the military, when I was in college, you know, and the kids, you know, were in school and things of that nature, way back when, this was a long time ago at this point now, I used to get up early because that was the only time that I could study and things of that nature. And I would get up early and I would be able to study. I'd be able to write the papers and things of that nature. Because once the kids got going, man, you know, you kind of got to tend to them. Got to tend to them and make sure that they straight and, you know, all that good stuff. Who else we got up in here? What up, Anita? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. All right. We got Hoodlum Peterson, New Haven, Connecticut in the house. Okay, that's what's up. What's up, C. Bergie? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Jeff? Ormsby, appreciate you pulling up this morning. He says, I don't always catch you live, but I watch all the time. Keep shining a light on the truth, this political minefield, man. Thank you. What's up, Francis? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Dion? How's it going this morning, sister? Hope all is well with you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning as well. All right, we're going to get the show started. You know, as always, you know, like I say, make sure you hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. Please hit the like button. That is the only cost of admission to the live stream is for you to hit that like button. Even better, you take the next step, share the live stream with somebody that needs to see it. We have 129 people in the building already this morning. We should have over 100 likes right now. We should have 129 likes at minimum. So please make sure you hit that like button if you haven't done so for me already. If you'd like to support the channel and contribute to the show today, super thanks. Super chats will stop the show. Super thanks will stop the show. Anybody that joins the ARP family, anybody that gives an ARP family membership, that will stop the show. They will be acknowledged as well. Appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Shout out to all my ARP family members, man. I appreciate you guys supporting me. You know, it really, really means a lot, man. I do appreciate it. What up, I am Bast? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hope all is well. And we got Shelby Dodd out of Alabama checking in. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What up, Kenny Cooper? Cruising through Kentucky. Be safe out there on the road, brother. God bless you. Y'all make sure y'all put some traveling grace and some prayers up for Kenny Cooper out there on the road, man. And all the truckers out there, man. I know we got a good amount of truckers that do watch the show. They may not, they may not talk in the chat or anything along those lines, man. But those guys are important, man. They do an important job, man. You know, transporting goods all across the country, man. So shout out to them, man. Traveling graces to you. Prayers to you, man. God bless you, Kenny, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. Let's get the show started, man. Like I said, super chats to stop the show. Super thanks to stop the show. And if you haven't done so already, man, please make sure you hit that daggone like button. Let's get it poppin'.
Judge, anything to say about this? Judge, anything to say about this?
All righty. So today, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about today, but we got to start off with the situation up in Milwaukee. We got to start there. And shout out to Joseph Forsini kicking things off with the $4, or we'll just go ahead and say $5 super chat. Think of how miserable these Dems are waking up every morning. Double win for us. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And today, we got to talk about the saga that's unfolding right in our federal courts. We got to talk about it, man. We got to talk about it because what we do know is that mainstream media, for whatever reason, well, I won't say for whatever reason, we know why. We know why they don't cover these types of things. But we got to talk about what's going on in these federal courts. And one that strikes at the very heart of the idea that nobody is above the law. We heard that all last year, right? Over the past 2 years, nobody's above the law. We heard that. And right now, we got to talk about the arrest and the indictment of the Milwaukee County Judge, Hannah Dugan. So let's dive into it and unpack the timeline real fast and discuss why this matters to every one of us who cares about rule of law. Who cares about rule of law, separation of powers, and basic accountability. Now, back in April, this is April 2025, so not too long ago, Judge Hannah Dugan was overseeing what should have been a routine hearing for a local defendant, a man named Eduardo Flores Ruiz, who'd been charged with a misdemeanor domestic abuse. Now, for whatever reason, man, these guys that come, from, the different nations out in South America, they sure love beating on their women. They sure love to do that, man. They sure love it. So this particular individual, Eduardo, who had already been deported, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but, he was there, for just a routine domestic violence, case, domestic abuse case. But behind the scenes, ICE agents were quietly searching the halls. Now, Flores Ruiz wasn't just any defendant. He had already been deported back in 2013 and had illegally re-entered the country. So for him, he gets no due process. He's already been deported. You catch him, he's out. He's supposed to be up out of here immediately. His presence in Dugan's courtroom that morning, it set the stage for an explosive confrontation. Witnesses tell us that as soon as Dugan's clerk tipped her off about the ICE officers in the hallway, the judge just went off, flew into a rage. She pounded her gavel, ran to, she stumped off the bench, ran to her chambers. She said the entire situation was absurd, and she disappeared into her chambers. But that was only the prelude. Moments later, the judge and the clerk in tow reemerged directly into the path of the federal agents, and according to the FBI affidavit, she strode right up to one of the ICE officers with a confrontational glare, and ordered him to prove his credentials. Now, I'm sure this dude probably had, I'm sure, he probably had a daggone uniform on or something along those lines. I'm sure she knew exactly who he was. She knew who he was. But, she demanded to speak with the, demanded to speak with the chief judge. And as agents argued, Judge Dugan allegedly now motioned to Flores Ruiz's attorney and escorted them both out a back door. This is what happened. Now, there is some video footage of it as well, but she escorted this dude who had already, he was going to court. He had been arrested for domestic violence. And instead of, doing her job, she decides that she's going to play, Captain Save a Illegal Immigrant, you know what I'm saying? And escort this dude out the back door. This is freaking ridiculous. She bypassed the daggone ICE team that was stationed at the main entrance And by the time the agents realized what was happening, Flores Ruiz, he had vanished into the courthouse labyrinth. He was gone. And fast forward to April, the Justice Department quietly filed an initial criminal complaint against the judge. No grand jury yet, no headlines, just a sealed filing accusing her of 2 federal felonies: concealing an individual to prevent arrest and obstruction of the federal criminal justice system. And in plain English, what that means is that she allegedly pointed law enforcement into or toward a secret escape route to shield a man from a lawful arrest. Shout out to Denzel Monk joining the ARP family. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. I don't know if you've seen my text message. I shot you a text message yesterday, but if you hadn't seen it, check your text messages. I know you. Appreciate you joining the ARP family, though, man. Thank you very much. But think about this for a second. You have a sitting judge sworn to uphold the law, allegedly transforming her courtroom into a getaway pathway. Think about this, man. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. But you don't need a law degree to see the problem here. You don't. You don't need a law degree to see the problem here. But don't take my word for it. Let's check out the Attorney General. She was over on Fox, a couple of days ago, maybe about a week or so ago, explaining what really happened with Judge Hannah Dugan. You guys got to hear it for yourself. We're gonna keep the show going. But shout out to Minister Denzel, man. I appreciate you supporting me, man. Thank you very much.
Victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave. While a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Wow.
Madam
This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. These are also the same people that, was beaten down, beating on their chest about the Me Too movement and how you got to protect women and you got to believe women and you got to listen to women. But it seems like their agenda these days is everything but the protection of women. Everything. I mean, we literally spent, a week, 2 weeks talking about, Kilmar, Abreu Garcia, who had 2, not 1, but 2 restraining orders from his girlfriend, wife, or whoever she is, from beating the heck out of her. I just don't understand these people, man. I really don't, man. I do not understand these people. But what we've seen over the past few months is that this isn't just about Judge Dugan. It's about a broader pattern of judicial overreach and the tension between state and federal authority. Now, take the judge down in New Mexico, Jose Luis Cano. I know you guys remember him. He was a former magistrate judge. He was arrested back in April for tampering with evidence. He was accused of sheltering Christian Ortega Lopez, an undocumented migrant, suspected of being a member of the gang Tren de Aragua. I know you guys remember that. We talked about that on this show about maybe 2 weeks ago at this point. We talked about that. Remember, that's the dude, that he was allowing his daughter to date the dude and his wife was all on board with it. We don't know what type of freaky stuff they might have had going on in that house. We have no idea. They got pictures of the dude holding guns and, he had his gang members, homies at the crib. It was crazy. These are judges. These judges are losing their mind. This is crazy. How you're talking about people that have worked very hard to become a judge, willing to throw their lives away for people that are not supposed to be here. This is insanity. The dude Kano allegedly destroyed a cell phone containing incriminating photos and videos of Ortega Lopez with firearms. I know you guys remember this. We talked about this, and they thought that, he thought that it would protect them. But the thing is that once you throw something out on the internet, it's there. I don't care what you do with your phone. Once you put it out there in the web space, the web sphere, it's there. It ain't going nowhere. Somebody has taken a screenshot. Somebody's got something. Seriously. So this isn't just about one judge. It's part of a disturbing trend where judges are stepping in to shield individuals from federal law enforcement, undermining the rule of law. And the Trump administration is having none of it. And to be honest with you, I am 1,000% with the Trump administration, Tom Homan, ICE agents. I'm with it. Now, we talked about, what was this? Maybe 2 days ago. And let me move this off. We talked about this about 2 days ago. Maybe it was Monday show. And we talked about the, up in New Jersey where the mayor got arrested. And there was a few, representatives and things of that nature. We talked about them, they jumped on ICE agents up at that facility. And I cannot think of the name of the facility right now off the top of my head. But I think it's the Delaney Detention Center up there in New Jersey. They talked about, and those people, I think it's still under investigation, but those people should be arrested. They said that they picked up and slammed a female ICE agent. And if there's video, if it's real, if it did happen, now we do know that they did put their hands on these ICE agents. If that happened, they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law as well. Trump administration, man, they're sending a clear message here. No one's above the law. No one is above the law, not even judges. And he should also send that message when it comes to the mayor, of Newark. When it comes to these, New Jersey representatives, they should send that same message to them. No one is above the law. No one. Because Lord knows, if you or I did anything along those lines to an ICE agent or something along those lines, we're going to jail. Assaulting a police officer, assaulting a federal officer, we're going to jail. You know it. So whether it's Dugan escorting a defendant out of a courtroom to evade ICE, or Kano harboring a suspected gang member and destroying evidence, or representatives and a mayor attacking ICE agents, no one's above the law. This administration is starting to crack down on judicial overreach. And they need to crack down on all these loony lefties out here that feel like they can just do anything. They can just do anything out there, and they don't have to worry about suffering the consequences. Seriously. But I love the fact that they are starting to crack down. I love the fact that they're cracking down on the overreach and on those who'd rather break the law for criminals than legislate for their own citizens. And Pam Bondi, she was asked about, what they're planning to do, with those, that were blocking the administration's efforts. And here's what she had to say about that.
Attorney General, great to have you here, and thanks for coming back on America Report. So we remember these words of Tom Homan, the border czar. This was March 17th, and his message on these judges who apparently are trying to get in the way of this administration's efforts. Listen.
I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
So when you see these judges trying to obstruct your efforts to make this country safer, what is your message to them?
We are going to prosecute you, and we are prosecuting you. I found out about this the day it happened. We could not believe, actually, that a judge really did that. We looked into the facts in great depth. That's her picture up on the screen, Hannah Dugan, who is now in custody. You cannot obstruct a criminal case, and really, shame on her. It was a domestic violence case of all cases, and she's protecting a criminal defendant over victims of crime.
In fact, she just had an
Now, I want to know, I wonder how many other judges across the country are behaving like this or allowing this type of behavior in their courtrooms? I want to know. I want to know, seriously, how many other judges across the country in these liberal counties, cities, states, how many other judges out there are behaving this way? But let's get back to Judge Dugan for a quick second. You know, this week, a federal grand jury in Milwaukee handed down a formal indictment accusing the judge of obstructing an official proceeding on April 25th. I mean, yo, it's funny how the tables have turned. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. No one's above the law. The Wisconsin Supreme Court, they've already come out. They've already suspended Dugan from her judicial duties, pending the case's resolution, citing the need to maintain public confidence in the judiciary. Now, I hope she has been suspended without pay. They didn't clarify that. I couldn't find anything on that, if she's still getting paid or not. Is she off the bench but still getting her check? I hope that is not the case. I hope she is suspended without pay. But Dugan, she says through her attorney, maintains her innocence and claimed that she acted to protect courtroom integrity and looks forward to vindication. You can't make this stuff up, man. And the disgraced judge filed a motion to dismiss the case on grounds of judicial immunity, which is highly unlikely, in my opinion. Highly unlikely, in my opinion. But according to Jonathan Turley, he seems to think the way that I feel. He doesn't think that this is likely either. But let's hear what he has to say.
These charges, I can't see any basis to do that. You can certainly disagree with her motivations, but that's not something that a judge could just assume without a trial. So my assumption is that the motion to dismiss today will be indeed turned down by the court.
I mean, what world are we in where we've got judges in America helping someone be able to, evade ICE? I mean, sneak this person out a back door of a court.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy Jeff over at It's Not Your Fault for the $11 super chat. Thank you very much, brother. He says, check out the movie Devil's Advocate. Evil permeates the judicial system as it's the backstage pass for evil to destroy a society. Thank you for the super chat. And I'm about to it's been a while since I've watched Devil's Advocate. It's been a while. But I did like the movie. Al Pacino is a beast. You know, don't ask me to watch anything with golly, I can't think of his name now. It'll come to me later. But Devil Advocate, man, that's a good movie right there. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but it's not looking good for the lady, and it shouldn't be looking good for the lady. It shouldn't look good for the lady. She should go to jail. I think they say she's facing somewhere around 6 to 8 years or so, something along those lines. You know, the stakes are high here. They really are. That's who it is, FI. Robert De Niro. Good Lord. I couldn't, I done kind of blinked him out. Like, don't ask me to watch anything of that guy. I'm done. And the crazy thing about De Niro, man, I really like Casino. I really like Goodfellas. And this dude, he just ruined it. He ruined it. Golly, man. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Yeah, but like I said, Judge Dugan, she's facing up to 6 years or up to 8 years behind bars. They say 6 to 8 years. And again, like I said earlier, no one's above the law. No one. Don't miss the irony, man. Over the last several years, we've heard a constant refrain, from mainstream Democrats and cable news pundits that no one is above the law. Not even the president, not the vice president. No one's above the law. Now, when one of their own, a self-described woke county judge, faces charges for helping an illegal immigrant evade arrest, those defenders suddenly grow quiet. Or worse, claim that this is an assault on judicial independence. Well, last time I checked, judicial independence doesn't mean immunity from criminal acts. And Rachel Maddow, or, you know, as my guy Jason Whitlock would say, racial Maddow, was on recently, absolutely fuming over this with Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin. It just upsets me that Raskin is a representative of Maryland. It just upsets me. But Jamie Raskins is one of the most kookiest creatures out there, you know, and he's calling it a dramatic escalation. We're going to check out what he has to say about this and what Rachel Maddow has to say about this. Shout out to S. Paz Ses, first time here, great content OG. Thank you very much, my brother. Y'all make sure y'all show S. Paz Ses some love in the chat. First time here pulling up this morning. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Case of this judge, there's also potentially the intimidation factor towards all judges, right? That this has an effect on trying to scare and intimidate judges into not ruling against Trump or otherwise acceding to Trump and the Trump administration's demands. When you say we must do whatever we can to defend the independent judiciary in America, what do you think that we should do? We've seen people instantly and spontaneously react by going to the courthouses, by going to the streets to protest. Do you think that matters, and what else do you think could?
Well, absolutely. I mean, everybody who aspires and attains to public office in America, regardless of which branch they're in, is just a servant of the people, and the people need to manifest their outrage about these assaults on judicial independence. The first branch of government, the legislative branch, Congress, must do the same thing. We must reject all of these attacks on individual judges, some of which have led online to violent threats and death threats. There was a bomb threat made against Justice Amy Coney Barrett's sister, and there have been lots of threats made against judges, but we've got to defend them against that, and we've got to defend them against impeachment. There have only been 15 federal judges impeached in our entire history, always for corruption charges like bribery or tax evasion, never because somebody in the government disagrees with the content of their opinion. As Chief Justice Roberts said just a few weeks ago, the proper response to disagreement with district court's opinion is to appeal the opinion, not to impeach the judge. So there's this constant vilification and demonizing of the judges that we've got to turn around. And obviously, arresting a county court judge in Wisconsin is a dramatic escalation of these tactics.
A dramatic escalation, and one I think that will escalate the kind of response that they get as well. I think that it was a shock to the system, I think, when people saw those headlines today.
Dramatic escalation. Dramatic escalation. And Mike, see, I agree with you. The lady's probably not going to jail. I mean, she's facing up to 6 to 8 years. She'll probably plea. She'll plea it down. They'll give her the first-time offenders, because I would assume you're a judge. She's probably a first-time offender, and they'll give her some probation. But she should be kicked off of. She should be kicked off the judge. Off the bench, and she should be disbarred. Those two things should happen. She should be kicked off the bench, and she should be disbarred. Give her some probation. I don't know if this is worth going to prison for. Although, maybe they should. Maybe they should, go make an example out of her and Judge Kano. Make an example out of both of them. But knowing them, they'll be lenient. And the thing is that I guess technically she would be considered a first-time offender. I don't know how that works with on the federal side. I know on the state side, typically when you're a first-time offender, they'll give you a chance. But yeah, probation, fine. She should be kicked off the bench, and she should be disbarred. She should never be able to practice law again anywhere. That's my opinion. What do you guys think about that? But I hate to do whatabouts. But what about the last 4 years then? That wasn't a dramatic escalation. But let me be clear here. We know, you guys know, judges have enormous power. They also have enormous responsibility. With power comes great responsibility. Tapping into Spider-Man. You know, so when you are given that type of power, it also comes with great responsibility. I mean, we're talking about people that can set bail, they can interpret law. I mean, you know, even release dangerous individuals back onto the streets. See New York City. But that power must never be wielded to shield criminals from lawful arrest. If it is, our system crumbles. Imagine if a police chief refused to pursue someone based on personal sympathy, or a U.S. attorney ignored, you know, a sealed indictment because a suspect was a friend. I mean, you can't set this type of precedence here. Yet somehow, some thought it might be acceptable for a judge to help a man skip away from ICE agents. And I mean, technically, she also helped him jump bail. Dude's out on bail, showed up to court, and she told this dude to leave. So essentially, she actually helped the dude just jump bail. That is exactly why, you know, this indictment, in my opinion, is so critical. We can't allow situations like this to set precedents. You know, we need to make sure that we are reaffirming that the rule of law trumps individual whims, even from the bench. Beyond the courtroom, you know, this case, you know, it will have ripple effects. Other judges, perhaps, you know, they may be tempted to exercise some quote unquote personal discretion over federal law. And if they do, you know, hopefully this case, if they even had the thought, more or less, hopefully this case will cause them to think twice. All these local officials, you know, running these quote unquote sanctuary policies, you know, they may find themselves under the microscope, and federal prosecutors might feel emboldened to pursue other high profile cases, sending a signal that equal justice is not a slogan, but a lived principle. And to you, the viewer, asking, why should I care? I'll say this: our republic depends on a shared belief that laws apply to everyone equally. If judges exempt themselves, if politicians dodge accountability, then the whole system becomes a farce. That would move us into third world nation territory. It would move us into third world country or nation territory if official positions are able to be shielded from wrongdoing. But there is a glimmer of hope on the horizon. Small glimmer of hope. There is. But she does need to be, they need to prosecute her behind for real. That does need to happen.
Has handed the Trump administration a major victory. It ruled Trump is allowed to use a wartime authority to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members. Now, all of this is after Washington, D.C. Circuit District Judge James Boasberg tried to block the president. The court also ruled the appropriate venue for these kinds of proceedings would be in Texas or wherever the plaintiffs are being held. As a result, then Judge Boasberg had to cancel his D.C. planned hearing on the case today. And the president posted the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld the rule of law in our nation by allowing a president, whoever that be able to secure our borders and protect our families and our country itself. A great day for justice in America. Trump's administration is also taking a victory lap. Watch.
A monumental, colossal victory for the rule of law.
A massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America.
A landmark victory for the rule of law. And this is what we've been arguing on behalf of President Trump from day one. These are enemies of our state, of our country, and they should be deported.
Republican Congressman Chip Roy of the great state of Texas, member of the Judiciary, Budget, and Rules Committees. Welcome. Great to have you in focus. First of all, I just want to get your reaction to a couple of victories, really, for the administration.
Well, first of all, this important ruling from the Supreme Court reset the table with respect to the activism, the blatant activism by Boasberg. Now, let's keep in mind what the court said. The court said that, look, he had no business doing this from the District of Columbia. This is a flight that was originating in Texas to remove people that are being rightfully removed because they're a danger to our country. Now, pause for a second. How do I know that they're a danger to our country, Harris? 47 people affiliated with Tren de Aragua were just caught literally in Dripping Springs, Texas, not far from where I live. This is a real issue throughout Texas because of the absolute devastation that the Biden administration wreaked upon the United States and its people. So now President Trump is doing the right thing to remove these dangerous gang members. And this activist judge inserted himself. Now, the good news is the Supreme Court said, no, you don't get to do that. This should have been done in Texas, and there's a process for doing this, and that the law is good law. My concern is that Amy Coney Barrett didn't follow the majority. So there was one that voted the wrong way. My other concern is that they said there needs to be a reasonable time for these folks to be able to go appeal their case, which means it's going to go back to habeas cases, which means there's going to be a churn on these cases. So it's good news, but it's not something that we should take to the bank without changing. That's why, as the chairman of the Constitution Subcommittee, we had a hearing about legislation that we need to move through the House to limit some of the abuses that are taking place with these nationwide injunctions by these rogue judges.
All right, so yeah, lot of talk. Let me move that out the way. Shout out to Mark Galvin with the $5 super chase. Says buy coffee, not Starbucks. I'm more of a Dunkin' guy, to be honest with you. And thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. But a lot of talk coming out of this Republican-led Congress. A lot of talk, man. You know, now let's see if they actually deliver, because so far, yes, they could be doing a lot more to help cement Trump's policies, his vision. They could, but this is still a major win for the president and the administration. And honestly, it's a major win for America. The Supreme Court ruled back in April on the Alien Enemies Act case, allowing the Trump administration to continue deportations with certain due process requirements. And then Judge James Boasberg in D.C., of course, of all places, one of the most liberal places in the country, James Boasberg in D.C. temporarily halted those deportations and ordered planes returning from Texas to turn around. And this week, another federal judge, Judge Stephanie Haynes, a Trump appointee, ruled that the administration can invoke the Alien Enemies Act to deport criminal illegal immigrants, members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. But with the caveat, adequate prior notice must be given to those subject to removal, allowing for due process and, habeas challenges. Shout out to Zephyr K9 for gifting 5 ARP family memberships. Thank you very much. Appreciate you supporting the channel. And y'all make sure whoever gets one of those memberships, y'all make sure y'all show Zephyr K9 some love. This guy says Dunkin' tastes like boiled or chilled swamp water. Hey, I was in the Navy, and you don't get much worse coffee than the mud that we have in that we had on the boat. Goodness gracious. You don't get much worse than that. But this ruling right here, man, it conflicts with Boasberg's decision and others, marking a significant step forward, for Trump's immigration enforcement. If you guys recall, the flight from Texas, it was meant to deport 238 members of Tren de Aragua and 23 MS-13 members to El Salvador's infamous mega prison, CCOT. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see any of the videos or anything along those lines, but oh my goodness, CCOT something else. And shout out to Delana C. She says, first time on your live, been a subscriber to your channel for some time now, writing from DFW area, Texas, man. Y'all make sure y'all show Delana C, some love in the chat. Thank you for pulling up this morning, man. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy yourself. Quincy Jane, that standard issue military black coffee, yeah, disgusting. Disgusting. Now, I'm about to say something. I'm about to tell y'all something that's going to mess y'all up real fast, and we'll get back to the show. Quick little pivot real fast. You know, on aircraft carriers now, you can actually buy Starbucks on aircraft carriers now. So the sailors that are out there on aircraft carriers, they don't have to drink that dirty, nasty, muddy coffee, that muddy water. They don't have to drink it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guy Playboy Billy, member for a month. He says 400 fingerprinted and 30 arrested. You know, so hey, they're pretty spoiled nowadays in the military, man. You know, they can take timeouts and all kinds of stuff, but you know, whatever. But this DC judge, man, he did stop. You know, he had an injunction out there that stopped it temporarily, but the Supreme Court's ruling and Haynes' decision signal a shift. And this isn't just about one game. It's about restoring order ultimately, right? It's not about one game. It isn't. It's really about restoring order. You know, it's about ensuring that federal law trumps local whims. The administration is saying no more activist judges, no more sanctuary policies, no more shielding criminals. And it's about daggone time, man. It's about time. It really is. But let's keep it moving. In other news, it was yesterday. It was a busy day on Capitol Hill. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check out any of the clips or any of the videos, but we're going to discuss it today. With RFK Jr. taking a stand before the House Appropriations Committee. And you guys will not believe who got kicked out from the hearing. And we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about RFK Jr. You know, he was there to defend the administration's budget proposal for fiscal year 2026, which includes a 26% reduction in the Department of Health and Human Services. We're talking about the discretionary spending here. We're got to get that down to about $94 billion. I mean, that is a massive cut. And it's part of Trump's broader vision to reshape the nation's public health infrastructure. We're talking about eliminating roughly about 20,000 jobs, ousting, top career officials, threatening billions in federally funded scientific research, and proposing a major reorganization of HHS. So yes, the stakes were high. The stakes are high. The hearing was billed as an opportunity for Kennedy to explain how these cuts align with Trump's priorities. And let's be real, it was also a chance for Democrats to pounce, to grandstand, to gaslight. But ultimately, for them to pounce, and pounce they did. But instead of focusing on the issues that affect our kids, our health, our standard of living, Democrats seized this moment to grill Kennedy on the administration's stance on Medicare, which the administration's made clear, no cuts. They let it be known that there will be no cuts into Medicare. But regardless of all of that, Bernie Sanders, he couldn't help himself. But let's get into it. Make sure y'all hit that like button if you haven't done so for me already. If the Blues could give me an update in the chat as to where we are with the likes, make sure y'all hit that like button for me, man. Thank you, guys.
About austerity, doing more with less. But in that very same bill that is being worked on in the House right now, there are $235 billion in tax breaks for the top 0.2%. Do you think that makes sense when that same bill would throw 13 million people off of Medicaid? Should we give tax breaks to billionaires and throw kids and others off of Medicaid?
You're conflating the congressional bills with proposals from the president. The president
No, I'm talking about the congressional bill. I'm talking about the bill, the reconciliation bill.
I mean, the president is not trying to do tax cuts for billionaires. He's trying to have no tax on tips and no tax for
$235 billion by by through
How
the
many
estate
people,
tax.
how many billionaires do you know that are making overtime or making any part of the
235 billion. Look, it's a big bill. There are a lot of provisions in it.
These are not serious people, man. These are not serious people. Bernie Sanders' obsession with taxing success, it just completely misses the point. It completely misses the point. The real issue is this: Medicaid's $1.2 trillion budget funds bloated bureaucracy. Not patience, the bureaucracy. RFK Jr. nails it, man. Trump's tax cuts for tips and overtime puts cash back in workers' pockets, not DC slush funds. And what we do know is that every Democrat in the House voted against no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Every last one of them, but they actually try to act like they love the people. And the last time I checked, billionaires aren't getting paid for overtime. Most of them dudes work 60 to 80 hours a week anyway. Most of these dudes, they ain't getting, they're not being paid overtime and things of that nature. They're exempt employees. Come on, man, stop it. We got Bernie Sanders, who is a multimillionaire, talking about the oligarchy. He is the oligarchy. Sanders, Corporate Tax Dodging Prevention Act. I mean, it's just another DC shell game claiming to target billionaires while letting agencies like NIH waste billions on grants that pad big pharma profits. And everybody knows that Bernie Sanders is one of the top recipients of money, of donations from big pharma. We all know this. Everybody knows this. This is the gift. This is a grift. This is a game. And it's just the way he asks the question, trying to blame the executive branch for a legislative branch bill. But here's the thing. The Democrats weren't just there to ask tough questions. They were also there to score some viral moments, to paint Kennedy as out of touch, to make headlines that would dominate the news cycle. I mean, it's a tactic that we've seen before. We've seen this before. It's a tactic that we've seen before. Turn a policy discussion into a spectacle, hoping something sticks, and then you run with it. But here's where it got explosive. At one point, you could see RFK getting visibly upset, calling out the very heart of their inaction, their failure to protect the most vulnerable. And I'm glad that RFK Jr. is pushing back. I'm glad that is happening because we need people out here willing to do this.
My district, which is a rural district, want to work with you on those goals. What can we do to promote this with young children, healthy lunches, all sorts of areas where local communities can partner with you in this effort?
We are about to reissue the dietary guidelines, and we're going to do it very quickly. We have until January, but we're going to do it. I think we'll have it done even before August. And we took the Biden guidelines, which were 453 pages long and were clearly written by industry, that are incomprehensible, driven by the same industry capture and those kind of carnal impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. And we are changing that. So we're going to have 4-page dietary guidelines that tell people essentially eat whole food, eat the food that's good for you. That's going to drive changes in the school lunch programs. And we're going to need your help to make sure we can get good school lunches to Head Start. I've been touring these Head Start facilities. Everything they eat is in a package, and it is just loaded with sugar and with chemicals. We're poisoning this generation, 800,000 kids, the poorest kids in our country, and we're starting them out with this count against them, with diabetes. Pre-diabetes, 38% of our youth now are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was 0 when I was a kid. Anybody thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions, look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Laura, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days. I'll give you that credit. All right, so let's work together. and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake. We
Ms.
can all
Dean.
do that together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. There's just kids, and we should all be be concerned with them.
Shout out to RFK. Shout out to RFK. 38% of our kids are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. I'm 45 years old. I'm 45 years old. I didn't know any kid that was diabetic or pre-diabetic other than there was one kid I knew, and he had, the diabetes that you're born with. Not the diabetes that you develop for bad, food and poor choices, in your household, so forth and so on. Shout out to RFK Jr., man. Seriously. Yeah, that's what it is. Type 1. I knew one kid that had type 1, but you're born with that. I didn't know any kids that were, diabetic or pre-diabetic. Not when it wasn't even a thing. I don't even recall seeing many fat kids when I was growing up. As much as we played outside, are you kidding? There were some husky kids, but fat, lazy? No. Man, we rode bikes. We drank tons of water, more times than not out the water hose from somebody's house. We ate apple slices and orange slices. We was pretty healthy. And all we did was run. All we did was run every day. We were running. We were playing football outside. We were playing basketball outside. We were playing baseball outside every day. That's what we did. Y'all know that hose water. Quincy, you're right. Hose water is the best. The hose water is the best, man. Hey, are you kidding? I just don't recall seeing it. It saddens me. Now, in my neighborhood, it puts a smile on my face to see kids out riding bikes, playing basketball, just outside playing. If we didn't have a ball, we'd make up a game. Freeze tag. We played all kinds of stuff. We climbed trees. We only played Nintendo and stuff like that. We only played that when it was raining outside or it was too cold to be outside. And when I say too cold, I grew up down south. It was rare that it was too cold that you couldn't go outside. We'd be outside in the cold. You out there playing, you take your jacket off, your mama look outside, and they yell at you, tell you put that daggone jacket on. Put that daggone skull cap back on your head. You know what I'm saying? Because we'd be out there, we done took everything off because we hot. Oh my goodness, man. Goodness gracious. But shout out to RFK Jr., man. I love that, man. You ain't right. Hey, you ain't lying, Dion. If we could get outside, we were going. The punishment was you can't go outside. You know what I'm saying? Now the punishment today is, hey, give me your tablet. We would literally be outside. It was so crazy back in that day, and I know you guys can agree with this. I know you guys remember this. There was a time back in the day, especially during the summer months or on the weekends, that my parents, you would go outside as early as you could. They would lock the door. There ain't no running in and out the house. There ain't no running back and forth in and out the house, letting out the good air. There was none of that. There was none of that. We'd be outside, they lock the door. You can't come back in the house until it's time to eat lunch. And then after that, you back outside until them street lights. The street lights. Street lights in the neighborhood, you see kids scattering and running all over the place trying to get back to the house because you don't want to be punished from being able to go outside the next day. And we would be out there. It would have to be just pouring down for us not be outside. Seriously. There was no running in and out the house. Nuh-uh. You in the house, hey, you either in or you out. There's no going back and forth, letting the good air out, letting flies and stuff in the house. You know, street lights. And one of my best friends, his dad could whistle like it was nobody's business. And we would be all over the place. But you hear that dude whistle, it's time to get to the crib. And people are running. Oh my goodness, man. Shout out to RFK Jr., man. Shout out to him. Seriously. You know, they can talk all they want, you know, but what have they done throughout the years other than make things worse? 38% of our children are overweight. And if you guys really, really think about it, this situation that we have, it's a national security situation because we don't have young people that are fit enough to join the daggone military right now. We don't have enough young people fit enough to join the military right now. So not only are our schools piss poor, and we're graduating people that can barely read and do math on grade level, we also have another wave of kids that are too daggone big or too unfit to join the military. It's ridiculous. You got to ask yourself, man, do the Democrats, you know, do they care or do they not care about the health of our nation's children? Do they care? You would think that they would have to, but then, you know, he goes, hey, let's work together on something that we all can get behind, that we all believe in, which is healthy kids. I mean, this was a masterstroke, a masterclass. This was a moment that shifted the narrative from defense to offense. Kennedy wasn't just there to justify cuts. He was there to expose the hypocrisy, to demand action, and to remind everyone why he's in the role in the first place. And it was all pretty reasonable. Don't we want to know why our kids are less healthy than other developed nations? Don't we want to know this? According to a 2020 report, you know, by the United Nations Children Fund, the U.S. ranks near the bottom of advanced nations in child wellness, coming in at number 36 out of 38 countries. I don't know about you. This is a national security situation. Our children are sicker, they're less happy, they're not as active, and they're less supported than kids in countries like the Netherlands, Denmark, and Norway. Shouldn't we be asking why? Shouldn't we be demanding answers? And what about this autism situation? Don't we want to know why there's been a exponential increase in autism diagnosis? In 2022, the U.S. autism rate in 8-year-olds was 1 in 31, or 3.2%, up from 0.66% in 2000. That's a 5-fold increase in just about 2 decades. That is a 5-fold increase in just over 2 decades. Shouldn't we be doing some research to figure out what the heck is going on? Is it environmental toxins? Is it ultra processed foods? Or is it something else that we're missing? Is it a situation to where, yeah, there are more kids that are being born later in, our women's lives? You have more women waiting until they're in their 30s, mid-30s, and things of that nature to have children. But shouldn't we be doing some research to figure out what the heck is going on? Am I missing something? I mean, Kennedy's call for a massive research effort to get to the bottom of this, it isn't unreasonable, in my opinion. It's essential. We owe it to our kids to find out. We owe it to our nation to find out. Again, this is a national security situation here. When you have kids, when you have 38% of children that are already either diabetic or pre-diabetic, none of those people will be able to serve our nation. If we ever found ourselves in a situation where we really needed the people, hey, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for military recruiters right now. And yes, recruiting is up, but it's still a struggle because you have people that want to go, but they're out of shape. They're not fit. You have others that want to go, but they're not smart. They're not intelligent enough. And come on, man, I gotta continue to 38%. Let's not forget the diabetes. 38% of our youth are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. Those of you guys that grew up in the 60s and 70s, it was zero. This is a public health crisis. This is a public health crisis. This is a national security issue. And it's not just about food dyes. Although that is a start, it's about the broader assault on our children's health, an assault that's been ignored for too long. I mean, think about this, man. In public school, they wanted to remove recess. They wanted to remove physical education. Why do you think we have so many people, so many of our young people dealing with, depression and anxiety and all these other, mental health issues that was not a thing back in the day? Kennedy's point, it was clear. If we're not protecting our kids, what are we doing? They used to say back in the day, I know you guys remember this, they used to say this back in the day, the children are our future. That is still holds true. The children are our future. What are we doing? And he's absolutely right, man. This isn't a partisan issue. There's no such thing as a Republican children or Democrat children. They're just kids. They're just American kids. And we are failing them as a nation right now. We should all be concerned. We should all be concerned. Now, for me, my boys, I raised them. They were athletes. We had meatless Mondays, things of that nature. We made sure they got their fruit, they got their vegetables. My kids did not eat school lunch. My kids didn't eat school lunch. Wife would go to the grocery store, purchase, the food for the kids, and they would go to school, with fresh fruit and a sandwich. Things that were made at home. We didn't eat a lot of prepackaged processed stuff. We didn't eat a lot of fast food. We didn't eat out. We ate at the house. We ate home. I made sure, that the kids, fruits, vegetables, things of that nature, at least while they are under my watch. Now, what they do now that they're adults, that's a different situation. But they were raised a certain way. But the school lunch, it shouldn't be a bunch of processed, prepackaged stuff. It just shouldn't be that. But these people, instead of wanting to work together, you have Democrats out here that are more interested in scoring points, trying to make headlines, and they're trying to paint Kennedy as a villain than they are concerned, about the well-being, the future of this nation. And then you have the agitators out there. Amidst all of this, the hearing was disrupted by far-left protesters, including Ben Cohen, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. I mean, this is just despicable. Goodness gracious, man.
Yes. The budget I'm presenting today supports these goals and reflects.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be tolerated. Members of the audience are reminded disruptions will not be permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
I wonder if these guys, man, I wonder if these guys realize that a majority of Americans cannot stand this type of foolishness. Can't stand it. But this incident, it's part of a broader trend that we've seen with far left agitators. They show up, they shout, they get arrested, they're let go, and then they claim martyrdom. But what they're really doing is exposing their inability to engage in rational discourse. They can't win on facts, so they try to win by being the loudest or the most obnoxious. It's not about making a point. It's about making a scene. That's what we get with these ignorant people. They think that if they scream loud enough, if they disrupt enough, they'll force their agenda. But here's the thing. Most of us see right through it. And let's be real. What they're doing doesn't make sense. Shouting RFK kills people with hate doesn't change the fact that Kennedy's pushing for healthier kids, for cleaner food, and for a public health system that actually works. And then there's the Democrats. They're against all of this, aren't they? They're against all of this. They've been quick to condemn Kennedy, to call his policies reckless, to paint him as a danger to public health or to society. But how does that work for them? I mean, there are certain things that should be universal. We should all want a better life for our children. We should all want that. We should all want a healthier life for our children. I mean, I assume that is something that we could all agree on. Yet instead of working together, they're doubling down on opposition, even when it means ignoring the very issues that affect our children. They're more interested in scoring political points than finding common ground. And I get it. Politics, it's a game and it's a dirty game. I get it. But when it comes to our children, when it comes to our children's health, it shouldn't be that, man. We should all be able to come together and remove the differences when it comes to the well-being of the future of our country. Seriously. We should be asking why our children are less healthy than those in other developed nations. Why autism rates are skyrocketing. Why diabetes is an epidemic. We should be asking these questions, man. But these people would rather fight Kennedy than fight for a solution. And I got a problem with it. But I'm pretty much done beating that dead horse. I'm pretty much done beating that dead horse, man. But it's just freaking ridiculous. How can you not get on board with, trying to, clean up the food industry and trying to force people, hey, especially if you're taking food stamps from the government, you don't get to choose, your food. Now I get it. If they're trying to feed you, poison of some sort, I get it. But making it mandatory that you shop for whole foods and things of that nature, and not a bunch of processed stuff. You know how many times I've gone to the grocery store? You can almost tell when someone is on food stamps. You can almost tell. You go to the grocery store and you see somebody with a buggy completely filled towards the beginning of the month, and it's normally filled with a bunch of processed junk, TV dinners and chips and cookies and muffins and bunch of Cokes and sodas and stuff like that. You almost can tell. And I hate to sound like it, but I see it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has seen it. You go to the grocery store around the first of the month, and you will see these people with these carts filled to the brim with just a bunch of junk. You won't see any fruits, no bag of potatoes, no vegetables, no none of that. You'll see a bunch of processed junk. Seriously. I see it all the time, and you can almost like, yep, food stamp, and then you get in a line behind them, and I hate doing it. I hate getting in my line behind those people. You know, I try to go to the speedy checkout when I can, but you get behind these people, and you know what happens. Here comes that daggone WIC stamps, you know, and here comes those daggone that card for the food stamps. And it's like, man, honestly, it's actually cheaper to eat healthier. It actually is. They try to make it seem like, oh, people can't afford to eat, you know, real food. It's actually cheaper to eat healthier. Buying fruits and vegetables and things of that nature really isn't that expensive. Buying, you know, rice and buying dried beans. Beans are super affordable and they're very healthy for you. It's actually cheaper to eat a little healthier. Now, when you're trying to eat a ton of meat, meat can get pretty expensive. But you can almost tell. You can almost tell when someone, because those of us that actually have to buy these groceries, most of us, it's rare that I see somebody that actually have to buy groceries for themselves with a full cart full of food. It's very rare. And we for daggone sure ain't just buying a bunch of junk just to be buying it. We don't do that. But let's move on. Let's move on. We got to talk about this. There's a disturbing trend that is emerging across the country. I talked about, you know, what was going on about this briefly, maybe a month or so ago. But there is a disturbing trend emerging across the United States when it comes to McDonald's. There's multiple McDonald's locations, you know, that are now closing their doors to customers 21 and under. First, we talked about this because my girl Nina, she lives up in the Brooklyn area up there, but we talked about this. There was a McDonald's in Brooklyn, New York, that set a new policy earlier this year that required teens or teenagers or people to, you know, go into the store, whatever the case may be, to be 20. If they're 20 and under, they have to be accompanied by a parent if they want to visit that particular location. That was a McDonald's out in Brooklyn, or they had to show an ID. Because this came after the police were called at least 29 times this year alone, mind you, 29 times. This policy went into effect in February. So from January 1st to sometime in February, the police had been called to that particular McDonald's in Brooklyn 29 times. And the reason why is because they had a bunch of teenagers out there fighting, jumping security, terrorizing other customers that showed up. And essentially, it was affecting the business's bottom line. And a lot of you guys may know this, but McDonald's aren't corporate-owned entities. Most of your McDonald's are franchisee-owned entities. So you're messing with some small business owners' money when you're jumping his customers. You know, and the fact that a McDonald's has to have security, goodness gracious. The fact that a McDonald's has to have security is just crazy. But now there's another McDonald's that is following suit, this time in Virginia. Yes, I said Virginia, Fairfax County, Virginia. Now listen to this, man. Fairfax County, Virginia. This is considered one of the wealthiest counties in the United States. It has a median household income of $151,000 a year, almost 2 times the national median household income. They just implemented, you know, a law as well that you got to be 20 or 21 and under. If you're 21 and under, you can't come into the McDonald's unless you're escorted by a parent. Let's get into it. Now, before anyone accuses this of being some knee-jerk reaction or corporate greed, let me tell you, restaurants don't erect barriers to just piss off their paying customers. They don't do that. You know, I get it. On paper, restricting your customer base by age, you know, it feels a little extreme. But imagine clocking in to a stressful, thankless job, then having to police a nightclub environment in a fast food uniform. I mean, these McDonald's employees have a right to earn a paycheck without fearing for their safety or dignity. And the same goes for other customers. And let's be clear here. This isn't about punishing teenagers. It's about defending employees and honest patrons and small business owners from a handful of out-of-control kids who make every visit a gamble. I mean, we're talking about students who live, who go to school right across the street. Kids who should value this community spot, but instead treat it like it's their personal playground or their personal fight club. When you see the videos of them cheering during fights, you realize nobody's overreacting here. Now, mind you, these videos, they're all over, they're on X and TikTok and things of that nature, because when a fight breaks out, the first thing these kids do is what? They break out that phone. They break that phone out. You know what I'm saying? World star, you know what I'm saying? That's what they do. And if I own this particular McDonald's, hey, I got to do the same thing because you messing with my money. You messing with my money. So, nah, you got to go. Nah, we can't have you up in here. Now, you bring your parents up in here? Yeah, okay. But the fact that now McDonald's, this particular McDonald's that is, has to hire someone to stand at the door and allow people to come in is ridiculous. So it's still costing them money because they probably had to hire somebody to stand there. So for when people ring that doorbell, they can let a customer in or block, these kids from going into the daggone restaurant. And the regular customers, they get it. Local law enforcement gets it. Even the school district gets it. And that's why they back the policy. And of course, the usual suspects, they're gonna wring their hands. They're gonna cry racism, discrimination. You can't blame a whole demographic for a few bad actors. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. A little leaven leavens the entire lump. Seriously. Yeah, you can. I mean, nobody's banning all under 21s from every McDonald's. I mean, this is just a hyper-local solution to a hyper-local problem. Next town over, you can still walk right in, so long as you're not trashing the daggone place and you know how to behave. And I know some of you, y'all wondering, about the high school itself. Thomas Edison High is one of the most diverse schools in Virginia. 73% minority with a Hispanic plurality and a significant Black population and students from every corner of the world. Shout out to Pam Westcott with the $4.99 or $5 super chat. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. And hey, Fairfax County, I don't live too far away from Fairfax County. Fairfax County literally is right across the bridge. It's right across the George Washington Bridge. So for those of you guys that may not know the geography, because Lord knows, we know some folks don't know geography these days, Maryland and Virginia are right next to each other. What separates us is a bridge. You cross the bridge, you're in Virginia, Alexandria, which is Fairfax County. You cross back over, you're in Maryland, you're in PG County. Eric Smith, I'm sure you know this as well. In DC, there's another route. You kind of can go through DC and you can get to Virginia. And that's why they call this area the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, because everything is just real compact. It's real tight. Fairfax County is Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, DC. So this is a pretty diverse area. It really is. And that's one of the things that I like about living up here. And I'm sure Eric can appreciate that as well. This is a really, really diverse area. You're right, Kenny Cooper, not the George Washington. It is the Woodrow Wilson. My bad. The Woodrow Wilson Bridge. You're absolutely right. But we can definitely celebrate the diversity. We definitely can. That's one of the things that I actually like about living up here. It's pretty diverse, and we all live amongst each other for the most part. And for the most part, there's no beef. Every now and again, you'll see some folks, Eric Smith may have some stories down in DC because DC's a little different than being in Maryland, especially if you don't live in PG County. It's a little different. If you live in the other counties in Maryland, where there's Anne Arundel or Montgomery, Howard County, what else? Montgomery, Howard, Anne Arundel, Baltimore County, pretty diverse areas. PG County, a little different. DC, Definitely different. But you know, I digress. But we can celebrate that type of diversity. We can do that. You know, but we got to set a standard. You just can't have kids out here acting a fool. You just can't. And I wouldn't allow it in my business. I wouldn't allow it in my business. You know what I'm saying? We have to expect, you know, we have to implore these children, you know, to respect public spaces and local businesses. And when we zoom out, you know, that McDonald's there, it's not an anomaly. Across the country, fast food chains are installing doorbell cameras, bulletproof counters, even metal detectors, all because of rising youth violence and a lack of accountability. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. As these joints get hit with more and more crime, I'm not surprised. And you got to understand, these are small business owners. These are people that have probably mortgaged their home to put down payments, you know, on businesses. These are people that have taken real risks, put up hundreds of thousands of dollars to be McDonald's franchisee owners or other, you know, franchisee owners out there, which is the American dream, to own a small business, employ people. You know what I'm saying? But we got to have people that respect people's property, respect people's businesses, seriously. And then if you turn around and you move these things out of the neighborhoods, and when you don't have these things, you know, like what's going on out there in places out in south side of Chicago, you know, where a lot of their businesses have you know, been closed down. Walmarts have been closed down. Pharmacies have been closed down. And then the people will complain and say, oh my gosh, we don't have, you know, I got to go a long ways. I got to go all the way across town to get my medication, this, that, and the third. But where were you, you know what I'm saying, in the complaints when people were stealing, fighting, and carrying on, you know, in these places, causing companies to be able to, causing companies to go out of business or have to shut down their business because they're losing money? Where was this at?
Behind these golden arches, forget the Happy Meals. Drop the McNuggets.
Hey, stop!
Just take cover.
Oh my God.
Countless criminals going to great lengths to get what they want from McDonald's, like this man caught on camera in Houston in early January.
They come right through.
Deja Stevenson says the same thing happened to her last spring.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Working at a North County McDonald's.
She climbed through the window and was trying to fight and stuff like that, and we couldn't do anything about it.
These feats of flexibility at McDonald's restaurants happen more than you might think, in cities across the country and closer to home, too. According to police reports, this downtown St. Louis McDonald's was hit by drive-through robbers 3 times last year. The FBI also investigated a string of 3 different drive-through robberies at area McDonald's franchises, all in one night back in 2016. The I-Team looked at McDonald's restaurants across St. Louis City and County. In the past 3 years, those 57 stores had 11 shootings, 18 aggravated assaults, and 8 armed robberies. The majority of those violent incidents happening at just 3 locations, 2 of which are in high-crime neighborhoods. In St. Louis, on North Tucker and South Jefferson, and in St. Louis County, in Jennings.
People coming in with guns and stuff, that's most likely the hardest thing to see, or a manager getting into it with a worker, fighting a worker.
16-year-old Deja's worked at that McDonald's for 2 years.
One time, the manager was trying to fight a customer, and the customer was like how they would come back with guns and this and that, and how they would do this, and they'll come back in the store with multiple people. So we wouldn't know what to do, to duck, to hide, where to go, no, nothing.
Deja is part of a group of workers, attorneys, and labor advocates that claims McDonald's isn't training its workers on how to handle violent incidents like these.
I never got trained. I just started working, had to look at someone else.
Do you have panic buttons?
No, we don't have any type of panic buttons. We just have a house phone.
McDonald's is the largest fast food company in the world.
Debbie Berkowitz is with the National Employment Law Project, a pro-labor nonprofit that advocates for low-wage workers. A 2019 report by the group focused on McDonald's.
They have the longest hours of any of their competitors. And what we've known for a very long time, for decades, in the workplace safety field, is that late-night retail exposes workers to workplace violence.
The Occupational Safety and Health Administration made that same connection back in 2009. Both reports say fast food places like McDonald's could be doing more to improve worker safety. Those recommendations include training employees to deal with angry customers, providing panic buttons for staff, removing signs on the windows that block the view into the store, and keeping a log of all violent incidents. The I-team was
What's going on, Crystal? How you doing today, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. Yeah, this is crazy, man. Golly. This is crazy. Yeah, Quincy. They attempted to blame the McDonald's. Hey, Chef G-Rat. Hey, you're right. Hey, and you need, hey, y'all also need to be, not only do I need $25 an hour, I need some life insurance. I mean, this is insane. And it's not just late night retail allegedly exposing workers to workplace violence. It's the fact that there's no accountability. The root cause isn't just a few bad apples. I mean, it's a system that looks, it's a system that really just kind of lets them off the hook. Democrat-backed judges are a big part of the problem. These judges, often appointed or elected with progressive backing, they've been letting offenders just walk free with slaps on the wrist, these light sentences. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, let's take a look at the data real fast. In cities with strong Democratic control, juvenile crime rates are through the roof. They have skyrocketed. And the consequences for those crimes, they have dwindled. I mean, it's not a coincidence. When judges prioritize rehabilitation over public safety, when they see every offender as a victim of circumstance rather than a perpetrator of violence, the message is clear. There's no real cost to misbehavior. I mean, these judges aren't just letting people off. They're emboldening them. When kids know that they can fight, steal, terrorize without facing any real serious consequences, what stops them? What stops them? I mean, the message is loud and clear. You can get away with it. The judges are going to back you. Just slaps on the wrist. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. And let's just keep it real, man. It's not just the judges. It's a broader culture of no accountability. Parents aren't stepping up. Schools aren't disciplining. And law enforcement is often hamstrung by policies that prioritize restorative justice over actual justice. And when you combine that with Democrat-backed judges who see every offender as a victim, you get a perfect storm. And the result is places like McDonald's become battlegrounds, not because of corporate greed, but because there's no one to say no. No one to enforce the rules, no one to enforce the law, no one to make the consequences stick. So what's the solution here? And it's exactly what I've been talking about. It starts with holding people accountable. We need judges who will enforce the law, not rewrite it. And we need policies that prioritize public safety over political correctness. We need a culture that says, if you act out, you face the consequences. And we need leaders who will back that up, not just talk about it. And we need parents stepping up and being parents again. Parents are not supposed to be their children's friend. You're not their homeboy, homegirl. You are a parent. You are there to guide. Spare the rod, spare the child. We need to get back to biblical. We need to get back to biblical teaching, living, biblical child rearing, biblical relationships. We need to get back there. Seriously. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. I want to hear from you guys in the chat, man. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Hey, I feel sorry for those people that work in these fast food restaurants. You basically need a concealed carry license, or they're saying you need to be able to go to work, with your tool on you, man, just to protect yourself. How y'all know they got that daggone many robberies, no panic button, no direct access to law enforcement? Are you kidding me? Chef G-Rap, you're absolutely right, man. Fatherless behavior. I know people that are teachers that have called home to talk about a kid and their behavior, and the parents come up to the school and cuss the teacher out. Some of these parents out here are terrible. I know teachers that have called the parents of some students that were unruly in school, and the parents come to school and cuss the daggone teacher out. There was a time when a kid would be afraid for a teacher to call home because mom or dad, more times than not, dad was going to be on that head. Not anymore. Not anymore. There was a time when a parent would come up to the school, whip your tail in the bathroom, and do not have these people call me out of work. I used to get that all the time. Don't make me leave my job to come up there and deal with you at that school. Sad, man. Sad. But I appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Not as long as yesterday, but you know, still fairly long show. We're at an hour and 40, almost an hour and 45 minutes. So still fairly long show, man. And I appreciate everybody that pulled up. Appreciate everybody that had a chance to hang around and watch the entire show. If you have not done so already, please make sure you hit that like button. Dion, she says, I'm back. Embarrassing. That was my city, St. Louis. The crime is horrible. Yeah, I've heard not so great things, you know, about the city of St. Louis. I have some family out there. Matter of fact, one of my cousins, and rest in peace to my cousin, Larkita, she just passed away recently, but her daughter and her granddaughter still lives out there, you know, out there in St. Louis. And yeah, it's pretty crazy out there, man. It is wild. It is wild. But definitely appreciate you guys pulling up, man, and appreciate you guys rocking with me today. As always, it's a pleasure. Hey, Dr. Silla, how you doing this morning, sister? You got in a little late, didn't get the chance to speak to you this morning, but appreciate you pulling up as always. Hope all is well. But hey, man, it is Friday Eve. Hope you guys enjoyed the day. Make today a great day. Every day's a great day. You know, hey, keep God first, man. Keep him first. Stay prayed up. It is extremely important. It is crazy out here in these streets. Make sure you keep that protective shield around you and your family. You know, I appreciate you guys, man. God bless each and every one of you guys. And we'll catch up with you all tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. EST. We're going to have a panel show tomorrow. So it'll be me and we'll have a couple folks on. We're going to talk about the Black fatigue. We're kind of going to expand on that a little bit. Eric Smith, I did shoot you an email. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out, but there is a standing invitation for you. I'd love to have you on if that's something that you're interested in, if you have the time to do so. But we'll be doing that tomorrow. And, you know, we'll flesh that out a little bit with a couple of good people, man. We got my guy from Freeman's Network, my guy Aaron. We also got my guy Jason from Dear Road Christian pulling up. We got Crystal from Crystal Beyond Labels pulling up. And you know, if we can get Eric, we'll have him pull up, and we may get one other individual. Maybe we'll get Minister Denzel or someone else to pull up tomorrow as well, to have that discussion, to kind of expand on that discussion, man. I think that'll be really, really good. You know, but I appreciate you guys, man. You know, again, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all tomorrow. Y'all take care.
Vibes so raw.